Rio Hondo Prep football is one of the best kept secrets in all of Southern California. As one of the smallest enrollments year in and year out, the Cares have won 14 CIF championships and have been one of the most successful programs throughout their history. Welcome to A Charge to Keep, the official podcast of Rio Hondo Prep football. And now, bringing you the latest news and content from his alma mater, a CIF champion in 2001. From the class of 2003, here's your host, Matt Ursima.
What is up, Rio Hondo football fans? Happy August to everyone out there. It is finally here. August has arrived. It is Thursday, August 3rd here on the podcast, and we're releasing this a little early. We've been doing Friday nights the past few weeks during the summer, but now that August is here, things change a little bit because today is the first official day of practice. The boys are out there in the hot sunshine, the wet grass, working hard already. And so I thought, well, let's kick this thing off. Let's release the podcast the day that practices begin, just so that I don't know, we're right there with the guys every step of the way, right? I'm looking at the practice schedule here officially for the next 2 weeks. We got Friday Night Lights. Well, it's actually Saturday Night Lights for us the first couple of weeks here on the during the football season. But man, we are 2 weeks away from the start of another football season. We will be down at Francis Parker August 19th, a Saturday for the first game of the year. And practices start right now, with helmets and no pads yet for the first few days. But starting next week, the pads will come on and practices will get even harder. And it'll be 2 weeks really of building up to get to that game ready shape. And hopefully they've been doing a lot of extra work in the weight room, and running and things like that on their own time. But it is officially OTAs. I guess you'd call it official team activities. Double sessions start today. So I thought let's release the podcast on Thursday morning when the boys are taking the field. And next week, we'll probably have a podcast on Saturday. I would hope the morning, but it might be like the afternoon or even Sunday, because the plan next week is to attend the Meet the Team event on Friday night on August 12th, I believe, or 11th, I believe that is. It's a Meet the Team event. It starts at roughly 5:30, and basically it's another practice for the guys, but it's a chance for the parents and everyone to come out and eat some burgers, hot dogs, whatever they got serving, and maybe take a team picture there. So the podcast, myself, will be there in trying to get some content, maybe talk to the guys, get some clips. And so I'm going to try to piece something together for next week's podcast. And then after that, man, it's game time. It is game week. We'll have a preview show, I'm sure. We got the post-game shows that will occur on either Saturdays or Sundays this year. Still have to work that out, but the first week will definitely be on Sunday because we play on the Saturday. But it's here, man. August is here, and still warm out there, still summer. Can't really call them fall practices, but it is a double session time here at Rio Hondo Prep, and I will be out there next week, probably a few different practices. Keep your eyes peeled on social media for some great content regarding practice clips and just maybe some behind the scenes footage and things of that nature, if you will. Got to keep the boys on their toes. Let them know someone's always watching, right? That's the plan. I know for the alumni, for the fans that can't get out there, they love having the access and being able to see our guys working hard. And it takes us all back, right, to those early mornings, that wet grass and going out there and then trying to take a nap for a few hours and then going back and doing it all again. So it's a great time of year, we'll say. Still no school yet. That doesn't start till August 23rd, I believe. So the boys can just focus on football here for the next few weeks. On the show today is head coach Mark Carson. He's going to talk to us about some of the details of the practice schedule, kind of when the pads come on, what you're looking for, how you progressing, right, these next 2 weeks as we build towards that first game. There is no scrimmage this year. So when you kick it off down in San Diego in just over 2 weeks, you're not going to really know who you are until you got live bullets, right? Live ammunition out there. So it's going to be a wild ride, and we're looking forward to it. I'm just going to chat with Mark about the practice schedule, maybe some newcomers, some guys to think about. I want you guys to know these kids. They're not just jerseys with numbers on them. There's actually young men behind these uniforms. And so I wanted us to start talking about them. We've talked a lot about the past in recent episodes, but from here on out, it should be a lot of the current team and of course, building for the future. So that's the plan here on the Charge to Keep podcast. It's been a great summer. I hope you guys have really enjoyed the content we've put out. Last week's show was really special, talking to the parents of our seniors and getting their perspective on what their young sons have gone through and just the overall perception of the football program at Rio Hondo Prep. A really special episode. And I think a lot of people enjoyed that. At least that's what I heard. So thank you to those parents again, and for everyone's kind words, of course. Just he's coming up with ideas and hoping that other people seem to enjoy them as well. So let's not waste any more time. As this is being released, head coach Mark Carson is on the field, blowing his whistle in his sun hat and his sunglasses. Drinking some water maybe here and there, but he's coaching up our kids nice and hard. But right now, this obviously interview was recorded a few days prior to the start of the season, the weekend prior, actually. But I wanted you guys to just be aware of all of that stuff. So football season is here. Practices are underway. So let's hear from head coach Mark Carson, as he is currently on the field with our boys, working hard. But this was a conversation I had with him just a few days ago. Okay, as this interview is being released, Coach Carson is on the football field for the first time in a while. He's got his straw hat on, his sunglasses, his whistle around his neck. He's barking out to our young man there out on the wet grass, but he recorded this with me a few days prior to that. What's going on, Coach Carson?
Hey, Matt. Fired up, ready to go.
Man, I know we're all fired up, ready to go. As this is released, August is officially here. On August 3rd is when you guys start up your practices. There's been kind of this, not dead period, but, somewhat, we'll say R&R, little off time, if you will. Have you been able to recharge the batteries with family or whatever since you guys got back from the summer trip?
Yeah. We had a nice trip with the extended, everyone was out from my sister from Alabama, my brother from Northern California, from my nephew's wedding. And so we kind of paired that with a family trip to Carlsbad. And that was really nice, about 20 degrees cooler down there than it was up here. So it was fun and a great time with family, and, hanging out the beach pretty much every day. A lot of fun, though.
Now, with kind of this dead time where you're kind of like anticipating, right? The season starts basically, we could say next week or this Thursday when you guys take the field. Are you chomping at the bit? Are you spending more time with the family to kind of stay away from football, or are you just kind of like sneaking away to write down plays on paper, just ready to go?
I go to do some work at home, wonders of modern technology is nice. And so kind of come up this planning and so forth. And then, but that makes, I think, my family, especially my daughters, feel like I'm there, even though I might be working part of the time, but we can, go out grab a to eat or hang out together, swim or do something like that. So they appreciate that because come this time, it's pretty much full time down at Rio. So
yeah, for sure. And we're recording this Saturday. Last night, Mark, I was like Friday night, I had some things to do, and it was like, it hit me. I was like, oh, it's Friday night, man. In a couple of Fridays, I kind of know where I'm going to be the next few few months, and some Saturdays as well, maybe a Thursday or so. That'll bring us to our first topic about a little change in the schedule. We knew that Francis Parker game got moved to Saturday, August 19th, but your second game, the home opener against Pasadena Poly, has also been moved by a day.
Correct. We moved it to the 26th from the 25th, still 7:00 at Care Park, but moved it to that Saturday. The officials, our officials, which do a great job in San Gabriel Valley, and Chris McNeese is the assigner and the head of the officials. He came and asked us to move that game and gave us a choice of Thursday or Saturday. And since we were playing Saturday the week before, a quick turnaround like that probably wouldn't be beneficial to us. So we chose a Saturday instead of the Thursday, which gives us a good week of prep, and we can maybe give the kids that Monday off coming back from San Diego. So it worked out better that way. That's why we had to change it.
And you know what? College football will not be underway yet. So Saturday night, no big deal, right? Let's get out there, fans. You don't have to get off work early, get those chores done on Saturday morning, and the big Rio home opener against Pasadena Poly. That's got to be, that's going to be so much fun.
Got to be there for that. And had SC been playing Saturday night. we might have done Thursday, but it all worked out. So yeah, it'll be
we
fun.
compensate and adjust. So the first two games of the year, August 19th and August 26th on Saturdays, 7 o'clock, obviously on the road in San Diego, and then at home, Care Park, Irwindale. We hope everyone gets out to these games. Mark, it's practice time officially. The first, I think, 3 days. I'm looking at your schedule here. It looks like you guys just go helmets, no pads, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I believe, let me see, so to make it official, there is a double session Thursday and Friday, just a single on Saturday. And then the following Monday, you guys get the pads on. Talk to me about kind of the philosophy that goes into these double session practices, when to have a double, when not to, bringing the pads out, just kind of when you're mapping all this out, kind of how do you go about it?
Yeah, so we break it down. Try not to have every day 2 days because that wear them out, and there's no reason to practice that much. But the 2 a day, starting us off, yeah, we give them the first three days of practice, 5 practices total. Non-equipment, helmets only, just kind of acclimate to the weather, to running around, being out in the sun, and having your helmet on to kind of get your neck used to that and your head used to that. That being said, we do practice in the mornings and evenings. So thankfully we have a facility where we have lights and we practice at night. So the hottest part of the day, the kids should be inside sleeping and eating, and that's about it. And then coming ready to go. And so yeah, if you do the total, it's about 50 hours of practice before our first game, and really just kind of space out those 2 a day practices and give these guys enough time off to recover. Some of that time will be used, lifting. Some of that time will be used watching film or meeting. We think it gives us a good kind of condensed schedule. It's 2.5 weeks to prepare for our first game.
Yeah, I noticed the first 3 days, no equipment, but you're going 3 hours in the morning, 8:30 to 11:30, and then it's come back, at 5:45 for the night session, which is only 2 hours and 15 minutes or so. But still, that's a lot of football in one day. I think the young men are up for it. I remember, Mark, during double sessions, it was one of the only times of the year my dad let us run the air conditioning. You'd come home between the two sessions, or after the morning session, we threw our mattresses down in the living room, crank the AC down, usually watched, I don't know, Little League World Series or something, or some football movies, and just slept for a good few hours before going back at night. Those are some of the memories I have, other than the wet grass and, the smell of uniforms.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And yeah, usually our practices are about 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes. That first day, we got to give out all the practice uniforms and gear and stuff. And so we're using time for that. But yeah, nothing like it. If we could avoid the wet grass in the morning, that'd be perfect. But the dew here in the San Gabriel Valley, for whatever reason, even in the hottest summer months, comes out in the morning, so you get all wet. And as a coach, your socks get all wet. That's never any fun either. But it is what it is, and you just got to embrace it, right?
Yeah, absolutely embrace it. And you just, that, all right, this is to better us all, to make us all better. And anyone could do one practice in a day. It's all about coming back and doing two. So it's a fun time of the year. You guys work very, very hard. What does Coach Carson do in between practices for whatever that is? Maybe like a 5-hour break, give or take. What is it? Do you get a nap in there? A little special lunch? Talk to me about your daily routine.
I'm not really a nap type guy, but yeah, we'll get something to eat for sure. And then if I have time to run home, I might do that. But usually just staying on campus, getting ready for the next practice, watching film, stuff like that. And then working on other stuff that I have to do for school, from an administrator standpoint. So just use that time like that. But try to get some time when we have 2 days to relax as well. So a nice long lunch is usually what we do, the coaches.
Oh, that's awesome.
Kind of break down the practice. Yeah.
Yeah. And the media will be out at your practices here and there. Yours truly. You're gonna have to take questions and things of that nature, and say a lot without saying anything, if you know what I mean, with the mic. So we're gonna interview you and the players just like we did last year for Instagram and Facebook and things. So that'll be a lot of fun. If you would, Mark, talk to me about the first few days of these practices. How much of it is like the emphasis and just on like the focus on like drills, right? Just like, hey, here's how catching and throwing the football, get our stance, things of that nature, versus the X's and O's of like where to line up and officially running plays. Is there kind of a, I don't know, a philosophy to how you break down your practices throughout the next few weeks?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 40-60 division there, 40% just technique and fundamentals, if you will, and then 60% uh, more plays and lining up and doing stuff like that, alignment. And that would kind of lean more towards the scrimmage type stuff the closer we get to the game and in season. But it's like 40-60 early on. Defense, for instance, we do a ton of tackling even before we put the pads on, just against with our tackle wheels or with the we'll have bags that the guys hold and they hit those just to get those reps in and get familiarity with how to tackle, tackling correctly, tackling safely. And same thing with offense. They'll use, probably about 40% of the time to specific techniques, how to run the ball, how to carry the ball, how to make a cut, how to line up, how to block. And then about 60% of the time is running plays and installing offense, installing the defense. That's roughly about what it is. This year we're doing something a little different. For instance, when we have 2 days of 2 days, one day is going to be one practice is going to be offense, one practice is going to be defense, as opposed to mixing offense and defense in the same practice. So we're trying that. We're going to see how it goes. We'll reevaluate after the first few days and see how we liked it. But something that we thought, because our players, everyone goes both ways. We thought this might be a good way to do it and kind of maximize the time when they're out there. So that'll be interesting. That's kind of a new wrinkle we have.
Yeah, and I know that sometimes when you make a plan or you have a plan, after a few reps, you may be like, all right, we're scrapping this. I mean, that's what the great coaches do. They're not too stubborn about making something work. But it sounds like that's a pretty intelligent idea and something that makes total sense, because I was talking to some of the parents this last week, Mark, on the podcast, getting the parent perspective. That was something that some of them talked about, was like, especially Alex Mustaine, your senior quarterback, who, you know what, he came to Rio, hey, I'm a quarterback, coach. And it's like, well, no, you're actually a tight end also, and you're going to a safety and a kicker and pretty much everything else out there. So Rio, whether you're really good on one side of the ball or not, you better learn both sides.
Exactly. And so we think this will help the guys kind of learn faster and kind of build on the practice will build on, like fundamentals, and take that to a scrimmage type atmosphere, but it's all on the same side of the ball. And so we're looking forward to seeing how it works. And if it doesn't, we can scrap it and try something else. We also build into our practice schedule what we call culture time, where we're talking about something from a team building perspective, whether it's hard work, discipline, brotherhood, passion, enthusiasm, poise, whatever. We'll build that into part of our practice, kind of a theme with a short talk during the practice. And then this year we're going to have Coach Rocky Seto at practices as well. And his main role, really, what he wants to do most is kind of be a mentor from a chaplain perspective, kind of like a chaplain. And so we're going to give him time at an occasional practice to talk to the guys on that. So it'll be fun that way. But it all kind of rolls into one. And those times when we're talking to them, it gives them a little break too. When it's hot, they can kind of rest physically, cool down a little bit, and then we get back after it.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And Mark, I want to ask about the guys who at Rio, everyone's on, you play multiple sports, or you're at least a part of a team or something. Everyone is a part of the football program in general. I want to talk about the guys maybe that they don't put the uniform on, your team managers, kind of what's required of them. I see them around at practice. I mean, they're a vital part of the team as well. They do a lot of things for the team. They're not running the sprints and lifting the weights and things, but they're doing a lot of other things that the Rio program benefits from.
Yeah, so this year we have 68 boys in the high school, which is an all-time high. And it's only going to grow from here. Once we get large classes, we should have about 20, 25 boys per class. So from what we know, you asked about a depth chart. Yeah, we have a little depth chart, and based on what we think we're going to have about 60 players and 8 managers, from what they've told us and what we know from last year. So we have those managers. They think they might be getting off the hook, but they will actually still do some of the running, and they still got to lift and all that. And
Okay.
it's not as easy as it's not the easy out that they think they're getting. So they, they a lot of times they got to be there before everybody else to get everything set up, and usually they're the last ones to leave because they got to clean everything up. There is some downtime in the middle there, so a little bit of drudgery, but um, we try to give them defined responsibilities, and whether running the scoreboard during practice, holding the chains, getting water, being the DJ with our music time, whatever. They're all going to do something, and we keep them very occupied during practice. And we've even had young men say, after a year doing it, I'd rather play football. It's easier. So that gives you an idea. Being a manager is not an easy way out. Uh, but those guys are a huge help, right? Because they help our coaches out a lot, and it really helps practice run smoothly and so forth.
Yeah, when you go to a real practice, I mean, I would, with all the limit, it's a limited size, a roster, although everyone practices together. And then, yeah, you got those managers who are filling water, and it's a machine. It's interesting how it all every part of the program works together, especially at those practices and game days, of course, too. Everyone has a role, and man, it's important. And the guys that maybe don't play as much, for them to have enthusiasm on the sideline. It's one of the best parts of football, Mark, I think, is that it is such a big team thing, the roster size, and just there's a spot for everybody, really, if you're willing to put the effort in.
Definitely a spot for everybody, and even as far as playing goes, if you're tough and you'll go out there and you'll mix it up and you're about it, then we're gonna get you on the field. Um, and for sure the lower levels. Now varsity, but even varsity too, will get you in, right? And so if you see someone that never plays, it's probably because they haven't demonstrated in practice that they're going to go hit somebody. So, but other than that, if you're going to go hit somebody, we'll give you we're going to give you a chance to get on the field on Friday night and Thursday afternoon whenever you're playing. But even that takes training, right? It's because there's a natural fear in the game, and so you got to kind of build that into the guys and train them up. But yes, every role is super important, and some guys might only play a few snaps a game, but they're our scout team in practice, which helps us get better for the game, and it's super important. They're a part of everything. Um, and I'm glad you did these interviews with parents and got their perspective. And if I had to say one thing to parents, it's just don't put it on yourself. Like, don't judge yourself by how little or much your son's playing, right? That's no reflection on you, right? What is a reflection on you, I would say, is how hard they're working, how respectful they are, how good of a teammate they are. So focus on those things, and don't focus on how much or how little they're playing. And then as a parent, you'll really enjoy it a lot more too. And knowing that your son is getting a great benefit from playing football.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only so many guys who can be on the field at a time, and the ultimate goal is to be successful and win the game. And so, yeah, it's, effort is great. Doesn't always add up to the results sometimes, but yeah, everyone is a part of the team, and it's a beautiful thing. Getting to talk to the senior parents last week, Mark, was a joy, and getting their perspective was unique. And for so many of them, they were so grateful to come to Rio and to see what it has done for their young men. So that was a blast and a unique thing to put on the podcast. But as far as your communication with parents, I mean, how does that go in? Is there a parent meeting before the season? Do you let them know kind of what your expectations are? Is there, I know you have weekly emails. Talk to me about your communication with your parents.
Yeah, we try to have open communication with the parents, with all our coaches. Um, we do as far as a big preseason meeting with the parents, logistically, it's really difficult to make happen. And because it's the same parents year round, it's not like we're getting a fresh new group of parents. And so they know us, whether from their middle school days, if they're freshmen, they might have seen us around, or they've already been in our program being coached by us in multiple sports year round. And so we have that relationship and rapport already. The meet the team event, we might make a few announcements, but my main form of communication is just a weekly email with the parents, let them know what's going on. Sometimes it's just a schedule, sometimes it's a schedule, and
Oh, hang on. Looks like we're freezing for a second here.
uh,
Let's. Sorry, Mark, the technology thing here, it froze for a second. I think we caught most of what you said, but yeah, just the communication with your parents is pretty much just about the schedule weekly and just kind of, I don't know, anything odd that comes up throughout the year.
and we like them to feel like they can come talk to us. Just understanding that, first and foremost, their sons, as part of growing up, should be the first line of communication, right? And so their son should be the one talking if they have an issue or something like that. Um, if for some rare instance, and it better be very rare, they have to miss, we shouldn't, we tell the parents, we don't want to get a call from you. Your son needs to go talk to myself or his position coach and let us know. And that's part of just growing up and handling that. Um, but if something does come up and the parents really want to meet, we're more than happy to meet with them, set up a time to meet. Um, there's just a couple things we will never talk about. And number one is playing time. And number two is another player on the team. We're not going to discuss with you as a parent another kid on the team. And I think that comforts them knowing that we're not doing the same thing with their son either. We're not discussing their son with another parent. Now they might have to bring something up and we'll listen, but I'm not going to get into a lengthy discussion about another kid on the team or family or anything like that. Um, and so, yeah, knowing that those are usually the main things that people talk about, it does kind of limit those meetings. But we try to, just communicate, and it's our job to, from a PR's perspective, let the parents know the benefits of the program and why it's good for their son to be a part of it. And I think if we do a good job at that, then it really kind of gets ahead of any potential problems that we might have and that maybe other programs have to deal with. So.
Yeah, it's a really good point. After being around so many other football programs myself, I've seen some horror stories and how it turns into all out warfare really with coaches and parents. And I don't think you're going to see that at Rio because there is an open line of communication. And I think the Rio coaches really do want the best for the kids and are going to always make that extra effort, like you said, to get everything out of the players, make the good players great, the average players good, the great players exceptional. And so you're going to work hard to get guys on the field if they're trying hard and have earned it. Earn that magical word earn that I don't think we use enough these days.
That's missing from society sometimes, right?
I know. Wait, give me this. I deserve this. Well, you gotta earn that. Oh, what are you talking about? So anyway, no, that's one of the great things of the Rio program. You mentioned the Meet the Team event. That is something I wanted to promote. As this episode will release August 3rd when practices start, but the following Friday, August 11th, yes, August 11th is the Meet the Team event. People are invited to come out. There'll be food available, but talk to me about that event specifically.
Yeah, so the parents run that. Mrs. Valerie Johnson is kind of the head of our boosters that does that. And it's basically a practice, but we start the practice with a team picture. And so we'll be in our uniforms and then just practice in our uniforms, which is kind of fun. Every player gets introduced. The cheerleaders will be there and do a cheer or two. Cheerleaders get introduced. And there's food, of course, that parents can come and eat. So it's basically bring your lawn chair, come watch practice, have some good food. And then our new merch will be out on tables for sale so people can get up, get their gear ready for the season, t-shirts, sweatshirts, stuff. And that's basically all it is. And really just a good time to fellowship with everybody.
Sounds like a great time and probably the closest thing you'll get to a football game at Care Field, like so many of us got to see, right?
Yeah, that's true. No bleachers on the infield or bleachers built into the bank or anything. A little different vibe, but the same grass, the same dirt, same everything else. So yeah, something that we all kind of miss, but
good old, yeah, except maybe setting up those bleachers, in the summertime.
in between 2 days, in between double sessions. That's no fun. I do not miss that. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, not at all. My goodness. That was those were dark, dark times. Yeah, that's urban legend, really. Those bleacher days. That's something the boys now don't have to worry about. That's back when men were men and uphill to school both ways in the snow.
It's almost a form of torture. Practice for a couple hours and then, all right, guys, we're gonna work on the bleachers for a couple hours before our next practice. Oh man, and it's the hottest part of
And
the
you
day.
it was all and you justify it by like, oh, this is like our this is our weight session. This is our
Yeah,
weightlifting. It's like,
yeah, is that
what are we
lifting
doing?
okay? Yeah, we won't lift today, guys. Do this instead, or yeah. Hey, but you know what? The coaches were right out there with you, so it's not like we
That's
just,
right.
and we didn't like it just as much as you guys didn't like it. So
Those
yeah, I'm
bleacher
glad
days.
that
And
those days are over.
I'm gonna go out and say it. I don't know lawsuits or anything, but I don't think those bleachers were very safe. Constructed by 15, 16, 17-year-old young men. I'm just saying.
No, no.
We
Did have to pass some sort of inspection though. Like I think like the county or someone came down and inspected, I think. But yeah, I don't know. It's
Oh
sketchy.
man.
Yeah.
Carefield, good memories there. Mark, let's talk about the so-called depth chart, if you will. When you don't have a huge roster, there's not a lot of twos and threes at every position, and sometimes guys maybe it's a one at one position and two at a different. So talk to me kind of the mindset going into these practices. Do you kind of know where you stand, or are there still some positions that are kind of open for competition?
Yeah, well, like O-line, for instance, everyone returns. But that being said, there's guys who will that we think can compete for starting spots and might move guys off that. And so yes, because we don't have 130 guys in the program, we kind of know where everyone stands. Uh, but that being said, it's a clean slate. And a guy who might have been a practice only player or limited rep player in the game, all of a sudden he comes out and he's balling, then we're open to that. And hey, dude, you can win a spot. Especially true of our incoming freshmen. We tell them it's a clean slate. You can come in and we don't care what you did in junior high, good or bad. You come in and show us what you got. And if you want to earn playing time, you can. But nothing is given. The senior doesn't get a play just because he's a senior. A freshman doesn't get a play on JV just because he's paying tuition and gets to go to the school. You got to earn playing time. And we have a high standard on what we're going to put out there on the field for both our lower level team and our varsity again. And you meet that standard, then you'll play. But if you don't, you won't. And you got to earn that. So as far as like a depth chart, we do them. But it's funny because, yeah, you'll have, um, for sure for defense. Offense, you need a little more continuity. Like you don't like to switch guys around too much. The O-line, you want to keep it the same and the timing of it. But defense, I'm putting our 11 dogs on the field. And so a guy who might be first string somewhere else at one position might be our second string guy at another position. He might slide into there if we have to. It doesn't mean like the guy who's second there right now is going to play ahead of another guy. Defense, we're basically putting our 11 toughest, fastest, best tacklers on the field, and we'll find a spot for them. So that's how it works. Just because you're the number 3 linebacker on the depth chart or number 4, and we start 3 inside backers, might not mean you go in if someone goes down. It might be, but it might be we might be pulling our second string bandit and putting him in instead, or whatever. So that's kind of how our depth chart works. I look forward to the day of having multiple guys at every position, but there's very few high schools that do that. Really anywhere. College, it's a thing, but high schools, even the big schools, man, you see them do it. You see them play, and they'll do kind of the same thing. Not as extreme as we do at Rio, but kind of the same thing.
Yeah, most schools don't play a full game with like 15 guys, which is generally what happens at Rio. Yeah. What happened in the Charter Oak game a few years ago. It's so funny how you guys are like, you don't pull guys off if someone gets hurt or something. You always, it's not usually you bring in a guy, you just bring in a guy. It's usually you bring in a guy off the sideline and then move 2 or 3 people around to different positions. That's usually how that works, as far as what I've seen. Last summer, we didn't know that Noah Pinaneri was going to be, your starting running back and have such a great year as a freshman. I mean, things happen. You guys lost your one of your top running backs before the summer last year. Noah stepped up and really had a great season. You know, you're hoping there's no injuries, but they do happen. It is football. So someone may have to step in and play a little more than maybe they expected, or hopefully that's the case for them. But I don't know. I get excited, Mark, about guys like Nate Curtis, who's been around the program for a few years, had a great sophomore season. He looks to be in great shape, really fast. I think he's going to really surprise a lot of people this year, kind of not being in, we'll say, the shadow of Ryan McCullough, literally. But Nate Curtis, I mean, to me, seems like one of your best football players all around.
Yeah, Nate and Noah, you mentioned Noah too. They're both very versatile, and Nate might run the ball some along with Noah, and they could interchange. One could play Z, while the other one's playing Tiger, tailback, and Z's our kind of our receiver that motions all the time, and does a lot of blocking as well as catching the ball, and running the ball. So those two guys are phenomenal athletes. Great work ethic in the weight room, and they're going to be in great shape. Those are two guys who can play the entire game and be good, just as good in the fourth quarter as they are in the first quarter. That's what kind of shape they're in, what kind of athletes they are. But someone that might surprise you. I mean, obviously, we lost our starting QB from last year, and our starting QB this year, Alex Mustaine, was on the team, but played, sparingly, and so he's going to be, I think, a pleasant surprise to a lot of people because he's put on probably 30 pounds since last year, or I think 30 pounds. He's pushing 200 now at 6'3". Has a great arm. He's done multiple sessions with Coach Johnson, and we call it QB Club, just kind of going over last year's film and learning the offense better. And so he's going to be ready to go, and of course, getting a majority of the reps in practice. You're going to have a guy that can stand in the pocket and chuck the ball pretty much anywhere on the field, which is rare for a Rio team. And so that's really going to, I think, not only complement but enhance our run game even more. And the fact that we have a good run game to go along with that will only make his job easier in the play action and stuff like that. So having a QB who looks like a college quarterback, he's not at a college quarterback yet. Don't misquote me, but he has the tools, and he's going to be fun to watch. Yeah.
I'm a little more biased with the shorter quarterbacks, maybe rounder type guys who, just run back and chuck it as far as they can. I mean, hey, but hey, things have evolved at Rio Hondo Prep. We got guys that actually look like quarterbacks. This is awesome.
Yeah. Not that saying, really doing with me, it's a guy like you, or a guy like Will Tarika, who's on our staff, who was 5'8" and 120 soaking wet. We'll do it with whatever it takes. But this year's going to be fun to watch Alex sling the ball around and our team. And so he's had a great summer of work, and I think he's ready to go.
A full season really as the starter, that's going to be huge for him when he stepped up at the very end of the year, which was really cool. Not to interrupt, Mark, but one of my favorite interviews from this last week was talking to Mr. Brewer, Matt Brewer, senior. Mm-hmm. Enthusiastic guy. Their story of how they came to Rio was really cool, unique.
Right.
And I know that for all the sitting out Matthew had to do last year, the first 5 games, he's got to be hungry and ready to go to get a full season under his belt the senior year.
I can't wait. Brewer's a guy, probably the most liked player or guy in the school. And he's great guy, great young man, was hilarious on the summer trip. Every chance he got, he went fishing or tried to hunt and kill something. And a guy like that. And so he's going to compete for playing time on both sides of the ball, O-line and D-line. But really smart kid, straight A student, take multiple AP courses, and a fun guy just to have around. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing him. Caden Holcomb is another new guy that fans didn't see last year because he didn't play for us. He was at another school, and he came in mid-year last year, but his family moved to the area. He was in care as a young man, and then he moved back to our area, and so he's going to get a lot of playing time. Another big, well-built guy, and he'll do really well for us, and he's looking forward to it. He's going to play linebacker, maybe some fullback. So we'll see about that too.
What year is he, Mark? Caden?
He's a junior.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. It's nice to have, all these upperclassmen after last year, had very, very few, it seemed. And now we actually got double digits, I think, this year.
Yeah, I might have 10 or 11 upperclassmen. Who suit the field, probably about 15 who will suit up. We're still going to be heavy on sophomores, though.
Yeah.
That sophomore class will still be a majority of our, probably both sides of the ball. We'll have at least 5 or 6 fresh sophomores on starting on each side.
Yeah, we gotta make sure we keep those guys all the way through. That's why we got to keep talking about that class, the super sophomore class, and get some more airtime here on the podcast. Whatever we got to do, guys. Hey, come on, keep this thing special. It's nice to hear about the newcomers. Caden Holcomb, we'll have to check him out. At practices and the field too. You mentioned that sophomore class, Mark. There's so many guys to name. Elijah Gavia, who was just a workhorse for you guys inside your center, played some defensive line as well. Him getting injured in that playoff game was a real bummer last year because he had such a great year. It's not easy being a freshman center, just going in there and you're the most important part of the offense, really, or one of the most important. So I'm sure Elijah's gotten a little bigger. Even he's got to be even nastier his sophomore year, I got to imagine.
Yeah, we hope so. And one of 2 guys that touches the ball every play, right? And so, yeah, you got to have a center who can get that job done. Really looking forward to see Elijah, Calodro Chico, Yannick Diaz, Tyler Dang. There's a lot of talent in that sophomore class. The junior class too. Um, Josh Curtis, Nate's brother, is gonna play corner for us. Runs like a gazelle, super fast, great cover guy, and someone we could put on a bigger wide receiver because he's like 6'1". Um, Diego Householder coming back from an injury in baseball. Looking forward to seeing Diego. And then, of course, your seniors that, I mean, I can't name everyone, but you talked about Brewer, um, Alex Mustaine, but then other 2 seniors, Colby and Josh Tafflinger, are going to come out. And those guys are just both warriors. And so they're 2 of our 4 captains. And they're going to be phenomenal, playing both sides of the ball in the trenches. Josh probably going to play some linebacker and O-line or tight end. We'll see. Uh, so, yeah, a lot of good pieces. Just a matter of putting it all together now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh and Colby, there's so many guys like this, but you talk about them being warriors. You know what? To me, they are total team guys. Like they seem like they'll do anything for the team, and also, lead by example. Gets a little fiery out there at times, but that's what it's all about. You mentioned they were captains. Who are your other 2 captains, Mark?
The other 2 captains are Nate Curtis and Ivan Tkach. Didn't mention Ivan, but yeah, another lineman who will play both ways. Yeah, so 2 juniors and 2 seniors are captains, and
That's cool.
those are chosen by the players. So
Ivan Tkach, Mr. Water Polo. Did he get some reps in the summer here in the pool, or is he just sticking to football now?
no, he's still doing water polo with his club team, and there's one guy who you don't have to worry about being in shape come the start of fall camp. It's Ivan, because those water polo players, I'll tell you what, those guys are fit as the most fit athletes on the planet, probably. So
Wow.
Ivan will be ready to go from that standpoint, and he loves football now, and so he makes it work doing both, and which we really admire. And he obviously, has the admiration of his teammates. They elected him captain.
Oh, that says a lot for sure. Let me ask you a few names we mentioned. Tyler Dang, to me, last year I saw him play as a freshman. He was really impressive in the JV games. He did get a lot of reps in varsity as well. It's kind of in your secondary as a defensive back. I feel like he's really good. I mean, you say this about a lot of guys, but I feel like he's going to take a huge step up this year, being a guy who, again, got those reps last year. And now as a sophomore, you're almost seasoned, if you will. And then another guy you mentioned, Yannick Diaz. I want to talk about those 2 guys. Yannick, going into camp here on paper is your backup quarterback now. As a guy who's JV quarterback last year. So 2 guys that are vital part of the team, and Yannick's got to know that offense like the back of his hand, just in case, right?
Exactly. Tyler first. I put on film of like our toughest games last year, like the Brentwood game, for instance. And he's going against really talented receivers. Obviously, Brentwood's great quarterback, and he had a great game. And he's a year older, a year stronger, 3 inches taller. People are going to see Tyler and go, "Whoa, look how tall he is!" So a guy with those kind of hips, that kind of speed, and this kind of great ball skills, he's going to be an awesome corner. Between him and Calodro and Josh Curtis, we got 3 really good corners. One of them will probably end up playing free, but so he's going to be special and a super competitive guy, which takes you to Yannick, the other guy you mentioned, probably the most competitive guy out in our school. He wants to win and he'll do whatever it takes to win. It was really important for him to get those 9 Frost JV games under his belt last year at QB because he is familiar with our system. And yeah, now he's a play away from being the guy. And so obviously, a majority of the reps are going to Mustaine, but he'll get enough reps where he could finish a game if he had to. And so, and we'll see how it goes about him playing some JV games at quarterback. We'll just really see how that goes. But probably just a varsity only guy for now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So many of those freshmen, I'm sure, will just be playing, mostly varsity this year only. And so that's a good thing. Last year, there were so many freshmen that played, Mark. It was a unique thing. Sometimes you have a few here, but you guys had, I don't know how many guys, Rain Pollock was a big guy on defense. I'm going to forget some names, of course. So excuse me. But my question outside of the current sophomores is there any projected freshmen this year who we don't know about, who were in the junior high program last year that may see some time on varsity, or is it kind of still up in the air?
For those guys, yeah, we want to wait and see. So
Yeah.
I don't want to put any names out there. Let them earn it. Again, clean slate coming in. Because yeah, they got to earn it. And so even JV playing time, we're not just going to give it to them. They got to come out and earn it, which is we wouldn't want any other way. But yeah, those other guys you mentioned. I mean, Rain's going to be a starting defender for us. Jacob Gomez, another sophomore who will play.
Jacob.
Yeah. Man, there's just so many to name, but yeah, they'll be out there. This year's freshman class, yeah, let's just wait off on those guys and let's see. We're very hopeful. We're optimistic. But before we start throwing names out, we want to see them earn it on the field.
Not quite the urgency of last year.
Right.
Kind of they did a great job and they played very well, but it was kind of like out of necessity. Hey guys, welcome to high school. We need you on varsity. So no, I'm excited about Rain. Every time I see him, he gets a little bigger. I'm like, where's he getting this size from? Larry, old man Larry wasn't that big of a dude. So I don't know what's going on. Must be all those reps in the weight room.
He's growing a lot. Tremendous athlete. And man, you just go down the line. There's so many guys that are going to help us. Someone like Zach Burrell, who we haven't really talked about a lot, but he's a junior, but gotten a lot bigger and stronger, and we think he's really going to help us. So there's just Derek David he's a basketball guy, but he goes out and balls for us in football and really quick, and so you might just hear these names that. Wow, where'd this guy come from? But we got some good players compete for spots. And so the goal, right, is to get to the point where everyone has to compete for their spot. That just makes everyone better. And so we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there.
Well, what's fun about football, Mark, is, I think baseball and basketball, they take a lot of individual work. They, you either got great hand-eye coordination or you don't. You can get better at these things. But I think football more than anything is where you can immediately make an impact. Maybe you haven't played a lot your first 2 years of high school, but now it's your junior year or your senior year. And it's like, hey, I'm out there, you've developed. And I think in football, if you put the work in, you can see some immediate results and being like, all right, I'm not just a second string, corner anymore. I'm a guy that is going to contribute to this team. And so for some of the names you mentioned, that's why I kind of want to talk about these guys, just the excitement, because it seems like everyone from last year has gotten a little better, and some guys have gotten a lot better and are ready to take that next step up.
Yeah. And football, it's the coolest thing about football. You could put in, and you can't really do this in other sports. You could put in a package. You could put in for guys on offense that might not play a lot, or, hey, you want this personnel against this team on defense or this down and distance. Hey, you're in. And then of course you have the whole special teams aspect where you can contribute. And so there's just no other sport like it, football that way, where you contribute and you might only get 8 or 10 snaps on the field during the game, but it's super important and you got a job to do and you got to be able to do it. And then the teamwork aspect, right? The teamwork aspect is just unique to football too. Baseball, you can have a dominant pitcher and the other 8 guys can be horrible, and you still earn the game. Football, it doesn't work like that.
No.
Basketball, you can have a guy who can just take the ball and control the the entire game. Football doesn't work like that. You have to have a team, and so that's always been building on the history and legacy of Rio Hondo Prep around teamwork and the brotherhood and kind of sacrificing for each other. Um, that's such an integral part of being a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Rio offense, has really utilized, the 3-back system here for a little, getting the flanker in motions, getting him some carries. We mentioned Nate and Noah. I forgot to ask, kind of before we start practices here, who's replacing McCullough on offense? Who's going to be that Rio Hondo fullback position that so many greats have played in the past? Rick Johnson, Rod Heaton, Ryan McCullough, just to name a few.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a key spot in our offense, and sometimes they get more carries than the tailback. And if they're not carrying the ball, they're usually paving the way for the tailback who's running the ball. So, couple guys in the mix for that. Nate Shine, who's a sophomore, really strong kid, about 200-pounder, 5'11", 200 pounds. We're not sure if he's ready. That's going to be one of the fun things in camp to see if he's ready to bring it.
Oh yeah.
But the kid we mentioned, the junior transfer kid in Holcomb, he played fullback in Care, played fullback at his prior school, and so we're hoping between those 2 guys, they could take on that fullback role and keep that strong tradition of fullback going at RHB.
Yeah, that real fullback position. I remember Landon Goodwell, first few years. It was like, hey man, the fullback's like the featured position here. Come on in. And then later on, of course, he did his thing. But no, that's good stuff. And Mark, you mentioned it early on. It's not too often at Rio. You have basically your entire offensive line back. A few years ago, I think, what year was that? 2019. We had a great offensive line. Those guys coming back was a big deal. But yeah, to have an entire offensive line back is really, really important. And the continuity really of it is important as well.
Yeah, so it just means that, because you only have 2.5 weeks till your first game. That's one reason we feel okay with not going on a summer trip, not practicing as much as we would in a summer we're home, is that our whole line's returning. And so the continuity, the teamwork that it requires is already there. And so they just got to kind of polish it up, refresh, and then at the same time know that we have guys who can also fill in at those spots too. And we think we have about 7 or 8 O linemen who can play. So working the new guys in to see if they're better or see if they can push the starters is also something we'll be looking at the start of the season.
Yeah, no, that's really important. We don't want to forget about the kicking game, vital part of Rio football, any football. A lot of schools just seem to forget about it. As far as your punter goes, wait, I have here, Rio is not planning on punting this year. Okay, so we don't got to worry about that. You do have a great leg in your quarterback, Alex Mustaine. And then Marco Chan last year did a great job with some extra points. He's another guy I think that will have a big year this upcoming year. But yeah, talk to me about the kicking game, if you will.
Yeah, those are our 2 kickers. And Alex as the QB, it's a great asset when he's our punter as well. Because they don't, on 4th down, he's in shotgun. Is he going to punt? Is he going to go it? And so we love that. And it's really a cool thing. And then kickoffs, he did go to a kicking camp over the summer down in San Diego and kind of refine his technique a little bit. And so we're hoping that, or the plan is for them, that's all he's going to do. We're going to worry about him playing defense. He's going to be QB and kick. And so he'll be able to do both of those. Marco, I think, is our backup kicker, backup punter. Is probably someone like Yannick, again, another quarterback. But like you said, hopefully we're not punting too often.
No, Coach Carson, my first few games back from all these years. I mean, Coach Carson's going for it on 4th and 8 from inside his own 40. I mean, I'm just like, what is going on here? What is this, video game football? You got faith in Randy Johnson calling plays, though.
Yes. I have extreme faith in Randy calling plays, and it's the 40's kind of stretching it, but usually once we cross the 50, I'll just say in the headset, "Hey, Randy, we're in 4 down, like we're going." Now, if we have a big loss or a sack or a penalty, then that could change. But and that's also the faith we have in our defense. It's like, hey,
Oh yeah.
We'll get the ball right back if we don't do it. So.
Well, I also know that things change a little bit too when you do have a kicker. Like in 2005, right? Trevor Finchamp had quite a leg,
Right.
and so you won that championship 10-7 on a field goal. But so sometimes when you cross midfield with a leg like Alex Mustaine, you kind of think, okay, maybe at the end of the half or something, let's just try to get 3, because if you miss, it's just a touchback anyway, and away you go.
Right, exactly. So yeah, field goals are good. Tough thing about Alex, he won't be able to warm up on the sideline before kicking it, but yeah. Usually we want touchdowns, but yeah, field goals at the end of the half or so forth are obviously. You mentioned that 05 championship game is the difference in the game. 3 points.
There it is. All points matter. 6 or 7 or even 8 is better than the alternative, but points are points. They're very important. Mark, I will let you go here soon, but just wanted to say, and I'm excited that we're here. It wasn't that long ago. You and I were breaking down the schedule, releasing that in February, and now it is almost August. At least when this airs, it will be, and it's football time, baby.
No time. Let's go.
No, you and your staff puts in so much time away from the field, and you know what? I think the fans, alumni can see that from this podcast, giving them access, giving them insight into kind of the operations, gives them an even bigger appreciation for that crest that the boys wear on their helmets.
Well, hey, Matt, it's all thanks to you, and we appreciate the public opinion support, the public relations, the media support that you give us. Because the guys think it's really cool, the parents love it, and it's such a benefit to our program that even some programs don't have, even big time programs don't have something like this. And so, on behalf of everybody, parents, coaches, fans, players, just thank you, and keep up the good work.
Oh, happy to do it. And something unique that we all can contribute in our different ways. So always fun chatting with you, Mark. Enjoy the wet grass, the sunshine, your fun conditioning drills at the end of practices. I will be out there, my friend, and it'll be like old times in some ways. Just we're back to football, and you know what? I'll be watching your every move. I'll be watching the boys' every move, getting back to the keeps the kids accountable, right, Coach? Hey, I'm gonna have a clipboard. If we're not practicing hard enough, I'm letting the fans know. I'm just telling you right now.
Fans are gonna know it. That's right. The whole world will know. So yeah,
bad day in practice today. I don't know what's going on. Got to hold the coaches, players accountable. That's what us media types like to do, right? Spew off nonsense.
Exactly. Well, and to the prior point, just the rhythm of the season, the rhythm of football is something that I think we all love, and just getting into it. And it starting now. So
starting now, man. Thursday, Friday. Oh, dude, it's gonna be Thursday. This releases, so we have Friday practices. Following Friday, the meet the team event, and then it's all. I mean, it's live bullets. I mean, let's go. No scrimmage, no scrimmage. Just hopefully same result as last year's opener. Excited about it, Mark. Can't wait, man. Let's go. Give my best to the boys, and I'll be seeing you out there at Care Field for a few different practices throughout the next few weeks.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, always a pleasure chatting with Coach Mark Carson, HCMC to be, his little nickname, I guess we'll call it. Man, football is here, guys. The teams are out there practicing, and it's hard to believe all this talk, all this hype, right? It's finally here, and in a few short weeks, we'll be kicking this thing off for real down in San Diego at Francis Parker. So to the boys out there, work hard. Double sessions are tough, but we've all been through them, and they're good for you. Stay hydrated, stay cool. You know what? Don't do anything stupid off the field or, in between. Just, you guys your bodies are going through enough right now. Don't push it too hard. But we're proud of you guys for representing all of us and for what you're going to do on the field in the near future. Some great insight there from Coach Carson as to how the program operates and kind of what goes into the double sessions, the depth chart, and all those things, and what makes Rio Hondo very, very special. This time of year is always fun for me as I drive around. Every time I drive by a high school, I always pick out a football field and I'll see teams practicing, or, just whether they're in pads or just helmets, or it's like every school that plays football anyway is getting ready to go. And it's just like, man, high school football is back, baby. It's awesome. I love the high school football opens up on its own, really, in mid-August. In a few weeks, you got college that joins us. And then a few weeks after that, professional football starts up. So it's a nice rhythm with the football season. And I know everyone is looking forward to it. Last week, I was like, wait a minute, Friday. Oh man, I don't have any Friday nights left until the end of the football season. It's all about Rio football here in the next few weeks. So we will be out there again for great content for you guys. Keep an eye out on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, for our content, some videos, some photos. I'll try to piece together an episode next week. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I have some ideas, and sometimes they come out good, sometimes they don't, but it's going to be fun trying to piece it all together, talk to the boys a little bit so you guys can see their faces, get to know them, talking specifically to the alumni out there who are cheering for these guys and want to know a little bit about them as well. So the parents obviously you heard last week from the senior parents about the greatness of the program and some parent perspective there, but I'm open to talk to anybody and looking forward to brief, reels and videos of the players and some practices and things here in the next few weeks. So you don't want to miss that. A lot of great content here on the Charge to Keep podcast, some behind the scenes of the program, if you will. And then before you know it, we'll be on the road headed south to San Diego on August 19th. Have a great rest of your summer, everybody. It's August. It's practice time, and the pads come on soon, and let's roll the ball out there and see what happens. I'll make sure to tune in or come out to the Meet the Team event on August 11th, Friday night. Don't want to miss that. Bring your chairs, bring your appetite, and watch some football and eat some food and kind of kick off the season, if you will, or just again meet the team and get things going here on the 2023 football season. We'll see you out there, guys. Don't hesitate to say hello, and we'll see what kind of great content we can keep out there on the Charge to Keep podcast. We'll see you guys soon. And in closing, guys, as a friendly reminder to all of us at Rio Hondo Prep to be humble in victory and gracious in defeat, because we always have a charge to keep.
A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fit it for the sky. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and O thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give.